Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to respond by way of Zak George putting out evidence, as he calls it, that he's actually worked with aggressive dogs. And I'm going to be responding to this video, how, again, he relates to making contact with dogs that have hit the aggressive level, dogs that have gained a high level of control in the relationship with their owner. And I talk about this whole issue about appearances, okay, why they're deceptive by way of trainers who engage in bribery. And again, this is where you see trainers with treats in their hand. You're going to see it here on this video. And so the caption of this video says, I'll read this here, it's on the side. We continue to challenge problematic dog training. This is Millie, a dog with an extreme fear of men. Let's explore modern, empathy-driven techniques that prioritize a dog's emotional well-being. So understand, so when you read language here, one of the indicators you're dealing with bribery-based approach is the language, okay? You know, talking about the emotional well-being of dogs, the comfort of the dog. You know, certain language will kind of clue you up in the fact that those who are, you know, approaching or jumping into a relationship problem, that they're not approaching it for what it represents by way of a intervention. I talk about the core ingredients, influence and control, how they reveal the current state of the relationship, but also how they change by way of intercepting a dog's state of mind. Again, I talk about this issue about stinking thinking as the dogs gain control, how it begins to manifest itself by way of towards other dogs, other people. And so again, we talk about this issue about using treats to try to connect. Okay, you're going to see it here, but also trying to generate or change focus. And again, I talk about the themes of bribery, accommodation, and negotiation, which align with force-free. But I understand there's no such thing as force-free, but because I understand that through the relationship itself, through how you're interacting with the dog, you know, at all levels, and even the fact that you're actually controlling the dog, okay, within your environment, okay, there's influence that's happening as part of the relationship itself. So those who identify as force-free understand through their ideology, you know, it aligns with a permissive way of thinking. So again, I talk about the parent, you know, using the parenting example based again on the social aspect of the relationship, dogs as pack animals. Understand your role in that is absolutely critical when it comes to meeting a dog's social needs. And so again, strength and weakness as defined by way of relationship. Again, through this social aspect of how dogs connect with us at that level, by way of how a dog's decision-making process is influenced and governed that way. Understand that we're dealing with dogs, especially again with aggressive dogs, those core ingredients, influence and control, need to be part of a process to reverse course, okay, to be able to change the perceptions of a dog the right way. So I'm going to play some of this video because understand this video is being offered up by Zak George as an example that he indeed has, you know, worked with aggressive dogs. But I'm going to play some of this video so we can kind of gain some insight into what that means to him.
So many people want to see how positive trainers work with a dog who would be a bite risk or who has fear that can result in aggression. How many times have we seen outdated dog trainers on the internet take a...
So again, this is part of his whole, at the time, this whole type of being selective by way of the optics. Again, I talk about optics, so the dog daddy trying to exploit you know, certain optics for his own agenda. So again, talk about, you know, I've done videos on this. I encourage you to watch them in terms of talking about even with the dog daddy, those core ingredients, influence and control. But in terms of, you know, clarity, okay, speaking the right language, okay, in terms of, yes, approaching it as a type of power play, but making sense to the dog. Understand this is one of the problems by way of the dog daddy. I talk about that. But through the reactions of the dog, okay, through certain levels of challenge that are happening, Zak George trying to exploit for his own agenda. Okay, so I talk about the context of agreeableness, in terms of the theme of bribery, okay, accommodation, negotiation, how you can establish agreeableness by way of using treats, bribery, certain moments that offer up the, appearance of change, but false hope, okay, in terms of context, in terms of the fact that I'm sure, just like the parenting example, absolutely you can bribe a selfish child into being agreeable to, say, sharing within certain moments, but it doesn't mean those moments represent that the relationship's actually getting better. And so again, this is why you see certain moments with these bribe-based trainers who are trying to paint a certain picture, how they market. That's not the reality of what's really happening.
Fearful dog, drag them around and start yanking and cranking their leash. And Millie is exactly the kind of dog that would lash out in fear if you tried to drag her towards you. Thereby,
to understand, it's not about, again, talk about, the intentional nature of a, interaction-based method that provides clarity that makes sense to the dog. Okay, so if you watch, how I'm interacting with dogs, those two core ingredients, influence and control, how they speak the right language, in terms of a dog coming into agreement with. Okay, so again, I talk about that, the importance of that, versus, and again, this is how Zak George is trying to play this. He's trying to offer up, he's trying to kind of create the problem, right? Trying to create a type of a storyline, okay, by way of the optics of the dog day, to present his solution by way of bribery. So understand that, the way you want to see this, understand that no influence and control are necessary, okay, once a relationship problem is underway. Their role, you talk about the proactive role of influence by way of intercepting a dog's thinking, okay, being dialed in the right way, to change perceptions of a dog coming into agreement with. Okay, so here, understand he's offering up his solution, okay, which isn't a solution.
By exacerbating the issue. And we continue to make the case that it's vital for any modern dog trainer to consider the dog's emotional state before, during, and after the training process.
So this whole type of permissive type of language, okay, emotional state, right? And this is how he plays off of certain reactions as well. He tries to take those reactions and exploit them. Because I talk about this issue about the inability for bribery-based trainers to reconcile, reactions of dogs to the relationship, and then therefore not be able to work through them and beyond them to come out the other side in terms of a truly better relationship.
Today I'm going to recap a video I did with a dog named Millie who had extreme fear of new people, particularly men.
So you keep talking about this thing about men. That's interesting because I talk about that. Men think differently than women. Women more, emotional, more maternal. That's not meant to be a bad thing. But understand that through this, connection, through at the social level, okay, how that, is interpreted if, again, the connection is just based on emotion. Because understand that emotion doesn't fix a relationship, okay? Emotion isn't about leadership. And so you talk about men, this kind of keys up on what I'm saying in terms of, the depth of that connection, what it represents. And so, yes, you'll see dogs that, based again on how certain people, think, okay, how they're interacting, those core ingredients, influence and control, dogs start to not like being around certain individuals, based again on those core ingredients, based again on the fact that dogs already gain control in the relationship.
So I'm going to show you how I and other modern dog trainers handle dogs in that situation. Now, in contrast to outdated training philosophies that would just ignore the dog's emotional well-being or at the very least not prioritize it, we're not going to resort to problematic leash corrections here. Why? Because they do nothing to address the issue. I mean, her body language is unmistakable to the trained eye. She's got her ears back, she's barking, her tail's...
So right here, same thing. So, no connection through the leash to bring the dog under intentional control. All right, so this dog is off leash here, right? So the dog has, talk about the free will, okay? You can talk about that issue in terms of, why, okay? Those core ingredients need to come in when a relationship problem is already underway for a, period of time, okay? A defined process that brings those core ingredients in a way that's going to change perceptions of a dog. The structure coming into by way of using the crate, not as a tool for punishment, but control. Okay, as change is happening. So the agent of change being the method itself, a intentional interaction based methodology that reconciles your role, the role of influence and control, and then that structure itself starting to go away. Okay, so more freedom comes the right way as the perception of dogs change. But here, interesting, you see right here in the middle of a relationship problem, this dog's already gained control and has control. And Zak George's idea about trying to build a bridge or trying to connect with this dog is going to be based on bribery. Okay, connection that way.
Between her legs, she is not comfortable in my presence.
No, she's and understand. So once a dog gains a level of control in a relationship, they're under a stress load comes onto the dog. And how you want to see this is like I talk about the parenting example. It's like a selfish child not finding comfort through the right parenting style.
So rather than just taking her and coercing her into immediate compliance at any cost.
So he talks about like at any cost. So, the kind of inflammatory language. Okay, so again, you just pay attention to the language of these trainers. The language really is the giveaway, okay, to the fact you're dealing with not science, okay, you're dealing with an ideology. You're dealing with trainers who engage in bribery.
In order to achieve a physical position with her, we're going to implement a more modern approach that doesn't exacerbate the issue. My strategy is quite simple with Millie, to build trust with her.
To double trust. Okay, and that's context as well. I talk about the difference between attachment and possessiveness versus right relationship through perceptions changing the right way, the dog connecting as a follow. So here, understand that it's important. Context is everything. So you talk about trust. It'd be the same thing as a child within the permissive parenting style, going to a specific parent because they get what they want. And so again, you could offer, well, the child trusts that parent more. I mean, that's how the word trust is. That's how the term trust is being offered up by way of this example.
I'm going to do right now is I'm going to get low just to be a little bit more inviting to her.
Because understand the whole issue too about comfort too. I talk about, a false image of change, a false image of a balanced dog. Dogs can look balanced, right, as they're gaining control. Control gives comfort. So it'll offer up a image or an appearance of change. It'll offer up an appearance of a balanced dog. This is where the statement comes from. Well, my dog is pretty good except. Well, the pretty good part is the deceptive nature of appearances. The dog's gaining control in the relationship. The except part is truth through those core ingredients I talked about, influence and control, being part of certain interactions.
I want to give her something that's likely to de-escalate her stress. So I like to use really tasty food in order to suggest I come in peace. Now, does this instantly work and fix her? Of course not.
So notice here too, in the body language too, you'll see this even though the dog takes off, say out your front door, you're hauling the treats out, to get the dog to bribe the dog to come back. But, consider, even the body language as a tell, so to speak, as you're, holding the treats out. So the dog wants the treats, but the dog starts to lower down, their body language starts to lower down, anticipating, right, that you're trying to bring the dog under control. You're trying to get a hold of the dog's collar to get them back into the house, right? So you'll see that type of contrast even in certain interactions by way of those core ingredients I talk about.
She's still very wary of me. She's still very reluctant to come near me. But you can see how we're just nudging her emotional state in the right direction.
Her emotional state. Superficial language coming from a superficial process. So understand, this is Zak George's idea of dealing with, engaging an aggressive dog. Okay, and this is why, again, bribe-based trainers can brag all the time, say, well, I've never been bitten. Well, of course I haven't been bitten because you're going into a situation, relationship problem by way of bribery. But you're not fixing anything either. Okay, understand that's the problem here. So again, my encouragement, again, you see trainers talking about, yes, they've worked with aggressive dogs. Okay, you have to go beyond appearances. Okay, you have to understand the themes that are in play, bribery, accommodation, negotiation. How that offers up agreeableness. It can create agreeableness in certain moments, but it doesn't mean whatsoever that the relationship is actually being fixed. Thanks for watching.